We're going to talk about a teacher who reveals the deepest secrets of the universe without ever saying a single word. So let's dive right in.
So, let's start with a puzzle, one that really gets you thinking. How can the greatest teacher in the entire universe teach without speaking? I mean, at all. This isn't just a fun little riddle, by the way. It's the key to understanding a really important figure in Hindu philosophy, Dakshinamurthy. See, he's an aspect of the deity Shiva, and he's known as the Adi Guru. That literally means the very first teacher. And we're not just talking about any teacher. This is the source of all knowledge, the guru of all other gurus. But here's the wild part. His most profound lessons, they're not spoken. They're shared through this incredibly deep, powerful silence. I mean, think about that. It totally flips the script on how we think learning even works. Okay, so how do we even begin to unpack this mystery? Well, our first big clue is hiding in plain sight. It's right there in his name, Dakshinamurthy. If you break it down, Dakshina plus Murthy translates to the one who faces south. Okay, simple enough, right? But hold on. In Vedic tradition, the south isn't just a direction on a compass. It's the domain of Yama, the Lord of Death. It represents mortality, big, profound transformation, basically the end of our physical journey. So by facing south, he's not just looking in a certain direction. He is literally, symbolically facing down death itself. His posture is the teaching. He's showing us that wisdom, or what's called jnana, is the only thing that can conquer our deepest fears. Through that knowledge, you can break free from the whole cycle of life and death, samsara. But wait, there's more. The name just keeps unfolding. Daksha also means the skillful one, like a master of yoga, arts, you name it. Then you've got Dakshinya, which means grace, this incredible compassion for anyone who's looking for knowledge. And then there's this really cool one, Dakshina plus Amurthy, which means the capable, formless one. Think about that paradox, a power that can create the whole universe, but is itself beyond any form. Okay, that's the name. But how does this whole silent teaching thing actually, work? Well, the best way to understand it is to look at the story of his most famous students. This really brings it all to life. And we're not talking about your average students here. These were the 4 Kumaras, 4 elderly sages who were ancient, like incredibly ancient and wise. They were the mind-born sons of the creator god Brahma himself. They'd been all over the universe, they'd studied everything, debated every philosophy, and yet they were still stuck. Their biggest questions were still unanswered. So they're searching, and who do they find? Their teacher, sitting under a banyan tree, is a silent 16-year-old boy. I mean, just picture that contrast. The oldest, wisest seekers in the universe find their guru in this eternally young kid. It's a powerful symbol, right? It shows that ultimate truth, real wisdom, it's timeless. It's forever young, not something that gets old and decays. So these 4 ancient sages sit down in front of this young guru, and something amazing happens. He says nothing. Not a single word. He just sits there in perfect silence. And in that stillness, all of their big, complex questions, all the doubts they'd carried for eons, they just dissolved, gone. And just like that, they got it. They attained enlightenment, right there on the spot. Okay, this brings us right back to the central question, doesn't it? How on earth does that work? How is knowledge, especially the ultimate knowledge, transmitted without a single word? Well, it's all rooted in a philosophy called Advaita Vedanta. And the core idea is pretty profound. It teaches non-duality. The big goal is to have this realization that your individual self, your soul, the Atman, is not separate from the universal consciousness, the Brahman. You've probably heard that beautiful saying that captures it. You're not a drop in the ocean, you're the entire ocean in a drop. That's Advaita Vedanta in a nutshell.
And here is the absolute key. This kind of knowledge isn't just information you can read in a book. It's an experience. Words are tricky. They can point you in the right direction, but they also create separation, right? This word for me, that word for you. They can actually become a barrier to understanding a truth that's all about oneness. So Dakshinamurthy's silence, it's like a genius shortcut. It bypasses all the chatter of the intellect and transmits that truth of unity directly from consciousness to consciousness.
And to help with this nonverbal teaching, he uses a very powerful tool. It's a specific hand gesture, what's known as a mudra.
He holds his hand in what's called the chin mudra, and it's basically a visual sermon. It's so clever. Check it out. The thumb represents Brahman, the big universal soul. The index finger, that's you, the individual soul, or Atman. When they touch, they form a perfect circle. That's the union of the two. And the other three fingers, they represent the three main impurities of the mind, like ego and illusion, that you have to overcome. The entire philosophy, right there in one hand gesture. Incredible.
And his entire form is a lesson. If you look closely, you'll see he's got his foot on a little dwarf-like figure. That's a demon named Apasmara, and he symbolizes ignorance and ego. So by crushing him underfoot, Dakshinamurthy is showing us, very clearly, that getting to true wisdom means you have to totally conquer your own ignorance.
So, this powerful, silent teaching, it didn't just happen once under a banyan tree and then that was it. No way. Its legacy has echoed down through the centuries, and it's still revered today in lots of different forms.
Because while he's famous as the teacher of that ultimate silent truth, he's also seen as the master of so many other things. He's revered as the ultimate teacher of yoga, and of music and the arts, and even as the great explainer of scriptures. Each of these forms represents a different doorway to wisdom, but they all lead back to that same silent, powerful source.
And today, he's still worshipped by so many people, students, seekers, scholars, as the living embodiment of that divine wisdom. Thursday, or Guru Varam, is considered the best day to honor him. And there's a famous hymn, the Dakshinamurthy Stotram, written by the legendary philosopher Adi Shankaracharya, that people still chant today when they're looking for clarity and inner peace.
And all of this really leaves us with one final thought, something to connect this ancient wisdom to our own very noisy lives. In a world of constant notifications, endless feeds, and nonstop information, what if the most profound answers aren't out there in more data? What if they're found in that deep, knowing silence that Dakshinamurthy represents? It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? In all our noise, what are we not hearing?